Hello and welcome to Breakfast All Day. I'm Matt here with Alonso and Christy. We are going to talk about the two Britney Spears documentaries that have just been made available. One of them is Controlling Britney Spears. It's the follow-up to Framing Britney Spears. It's a New York Times production on FX and Hulu. And that one is directed by Samantha Stark. And then the other one is Britney versus Spears, which is on Netflix, and it's directed by Erin Carr, who's going to tell us about both of these movies.
I will. And you said a whole lot of what I was going to say. So thank you for getting all that squared away. Yeah. So the surprise follow-up to Framing Britney Spears came out last Friday night. And it is a continuation of that documentary. And then 3 days later on Netflix, we got this movie that was kind of being made in secret for like 2.5 years from Erin Carr and Jenny Eliscu, who was a longtime music journalist. She's on Sirius XM. She's got great pipes. Jenny Eliscu. She's got a great voice. And they kind of, all these movies cover the same territory in like overlapping ways, and they all kind of take bites at the same apple from different angles. And so the New York Times one, as you might imagine, is a little more straightforward journalistically and a little more objective and a little more, I hate to say spare, but it kind of is. It's just tonally, it is a much more traditional, straightforward piece of journalistic documentary filmmaking. And then the Britney v. Spears is more emotional and more personal. And it reveals how these women feel about Britney Spears as a woman who has been oppressed, as an artist that they have admired. For Jenny Eliscu, she actually got kind of involved in Britney's case, which is a wacky part of that movie, where she recalls meeting Britney at the pool bathroom at the Montage Hotel to like help her sign paperwork to try to file for a new attorney, and then tearing up at the memory of how frightened Britney was. Like, it very much crosses a line from like, this is a straightforward documentary into like, this is our life with Britney. And
I'm a participant now.
Yeah. And it just depends on how you feel about that kind of thing. Like, you know, they do journalistic legwork. They did get leaked to them hundreds of pages of documents of the conservatorship, which, by the way, as we mentioned in our news segment, you know, Jamie Spears has just been suspended as the conservator of her case. And so there's hope that she will get some freedom. So there's a time peg for all this stuff. So Britney's in the news very much here, but like, the Netflix one gets Adnan Galib, who is the paparazzo turned boyfriend. I'd forgotten all about him, by the way.
Yeah,
I'd forgotten all about him. And they get Sam Lutfi, who for so long in this story has been portrayed as a villain and an opportunist and somebody who insinuated himself and glommed onto her life at a time that she was weak, and the very kind of bad influence that Jamie Spears and his people insist the conservatorship is for, to protect her from guys like that. So, I mean, I guess together they paint a damning, heartbreaking depiction of the life that Britney has suffered. They both have Felicia Collada, who also was in the first movie, who was her former assistant, who's kind of been kicked out.
But everything she doesn't want to talk about in Britney v. Spears, she does want to talk about in the New York Times.
That's the thing. And you have the woman who ran the wardrobe for Britney for a couple of her tours, who talks about having to like sneak her a pair of Skechers shoes that she wanted because Britney couldn't even like spend her own money on a pair of like modestly priced shoes. So everyone's got like anecdotes. Everyone's trying to portray themselves as the good guy in this scenario. But taken together, they are, watchable and infuriating and heartbreaking.
I found some interesting differences based on the resources that they have. Like in the Britney Spears documentary,
Britney v. Spears.
Britney v. Spears. They get like the doctor who won't admit to having, like, he's like, unless you show me a document with my signature on it, I'm not even going to verify that that's my signature. And at best, that's all I will do. They do talk to a lot of people, but they talk about all of the documents that get leaked and then show you none of them, right? Which I think is...
They show you redactions being pulled away.
No, that's the that's the Controlling Britney Spears one.
No, that's Britney v. Spears. They show whole pages that are like blacked out, and then they pull away.
I think it's
lines.
Britney v. Spears where the redaction kind of
they pull away the redactions.
I felt like the Controlling Britney Spears, the one, because they've got the New York Times behind them, and they have, which is a whole organization of fact checking. I think that they were more pointed with some of the lines out of the paperwork than Britney versus Spears was, and I think that it was also interesting that like what Felicia will talk about, she's more willing to talk about. And I wonder how much that's because the Times lawyers are like, okay, here's where you're going to be okay.
Well, the way they set it up is that she was willing to talk after Britney talked to the judge and got to finally have her moment in court, which is the finale of Britney v. Spears. Like that's the culmination of the film, is that amazing phone call where she's like, I'm not happy. I'm being abused. This can't go on. I need to be, liberated from this conservatorship. And I watched these two back to back, and I watched Britney v. Spears first. And I thought, okay, most of this movie feels like stuff that I knew from the other New York Times doc. There is the bathroom anecdote and a few other things along the way. And then they get to that finale, and I'm like, wow, well, I had not heard that courtroom speech. That's amazing. That's the capper to this film. And then I watched Controlling, and that's what they start with.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, then I didn't need both. Like, I kind of feel like if you watch the two New York Times ones, there's not a ton you're going to get out of Britney v. Spears that adds anything. Like, I think between, the two parts of the New York Times one really kind of gives you most, if not all, of the story.
I think that the Netflix one, though, does a good job with like a separate set of people who hadn't been even in the first film. And so honestly, like, I think you kind of watch them all together, right? I mean, I watched the Netflix one before the Hulu one, and I'm glad I watched it that way because, just time wise, it takes place earlier. God, the footage of everybody mobbing the helicopter footage of all the paparazzi mobbing the ambulance is just horrific.
It's so sad.
Right? It's like watching that Amy Winehouse doc.
Yeah. Also, the Britney v. Spears movie gets Andrew Gallery, who was the DP on the documentary that the Spears family was okay with, that they approved of when they were like, Britney's going to make this comeback, and so they get some more intimate recollections of what Britney went through, I think, than the New York Times people did. Sure, so I think theirs is more emotional, intimate, and the New York Times is more journalistically sound
and more legally damning, like the stuff from the guy at the security company.
Oh right,
yeah, for sure. The black box. It's like the
describe that, Matt. Matt, say what that was. What he said.
So they get this guy who was like, he started out as the assistant for the head of the security company, who, as things go on, he starts asking like, man, what's going on here? And they kept telling him like, oh, the client's happy. That's what the client wants. And then he finally is like, all right, the client is Jamie Spears. Yeah. And, they're asking him to, delete this drive, and he saved a copy, which is awesome. Like, although we don't ever really get to see what's in that. And then he talks about how, the day he left, the guys, the head of that company, like, puts the gun on the desk and it's like, so you think I don't run my company right?
But the fact that they were recording her bedroom.
Right. They were recording her bedroom.
They were monitoring her calls and texts.
Monitoring all of her calls and texts.
These movies give us a new villain. In addition to the dad, we also now have TriStar, which is like the business manager, and they were monstrous as well. Especially the Lou Taylor, who goes on TV and she's all Jesus, but like she was apparently a monster.
Well, she's married to a pastor.
And the other one that was going on the tour and
Robin.
Yeah, the other interesting thing was how the Netflix doc gets a statement from Ingham, the court-appointed attorney, that says, well, if I had known that Britney wanted to be out of this, like, she never said anything. But then the New York Times one has all these documents where he's like, she's not happy, she wants to be out of this. It's like, dude, make up your fucking mind. Right.
It's like the Firefest thing. If you're interested in this topic, watch both of them. You'll glean new things from each one of them.
That's a good analogy.
I'll tell you what I thought about watching, by the time I got to the second one, the Hulu one, I was thinking about Amy Winehouse and how similarly everyone around Britney failed her because she was the gravy train, because all they needed to do, all they wanted was her to keep performing and making money. And that's what led to Amy Winehouse's death, is because they just wouldn't stop with her. Right. And thank God thank God it didn't happen with Britney.
No, I hope a liberated Britney gets to do whatever the fuck she wants, professionally, personally, all that stuff, and just like live her life.
Although if you see from her Instagram feed, she is condemning one of these documentaries. She hasn't named which one. I think it's the New York Times one.
She didn't like the first New York Times one.
She did not. So she posted a thing on Instagram saying, oh, these quotes, you guys don't know me, whatever. And then she's posting video of herself flying a plane, and she's off with Sam Asghari, her now fiance, posting video from vacation with the song Cream by Prince playing in the background.
That's a good song.
Yes, get on top. Yes. But then there are people, everyone's of course questioning, like, is this really Britney posting on Instagram when she says she hates the documentary?
Because somebody still has the phone, I'm sure.
Right. There's still mirrored.
The mirrored device. Because I couldn't help but think when she's first saying like, oh, you guys, you don't know the truth and I'm actually okay. And I thought, well, yeah, that's what she was told to do, or she couldn't see the kids.
Yeah, the fact that all of this is basically her being kept in line with the threat of having access to her children taken away is just like so fucking monstrous. And Jamie Spears is just the further this goes along, you just see what a little shitbag that guy is.
Yes. The video of him just being like profane is just quality. Also 19 hours ago, she posted a photo of herself on Instagram, totally naked in front of a bathtub with like pictures of like flowers over her nipples and her crotch. Like she's totally naked and like tossing her hair back. And
okay,
I guess she posted that one.
One might think.
So.
I'm gonna say what, 6. I forgot my numbers already. What did I say?
So I'm saying 6 on the Netflix one and 7 on the Hulu one.
Okay.
Alonso, you said 5.5 for the Netflix one and 7.5 for the Hulu one.
I'll go with that.
Matt,
I say 6.5 for the Netflix and 7.5 for Hulu.
Yes. I feel bad for Erin Lee Carr. She was working on her film in secret for like 2.5 years. And then all of a sudden this one swoops in and like steals her thunder. Yes. So our number is a 6 on the Netflix one and a 7.3 on the Hulu one. Yeah. The Fyre Fest docs. It's a great analogy. Watch them both. They both get at it from different angles and they have some overlap too.
Yeah. And often that's the case with parallel docs. The 2 JT Leroy documentaries. There've been a couple other ones where it's like either one's an insider, one's an outsider, or whatever. Like, these two teams will find other things. And so if you want to know more about the subject, then like it's an embarrassment of riches. Thanks for watching, everybody. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out at Be Fast All Day on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and sign up for our Patreon at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. You get to see these videos without a single ad interruption. So that's awesome. On top of that, we've got our TV recaps that our Patreon subscribers get exclusively. Right now, we're talking about Ted Lasso and The Morning Show, and soon our members will get to vote on which classic horror movie we'll be reviewing this month as well, and that too will be a Patreon exclusive. So why not become one? Patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. Have a great week, everybody. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.